What's going on, guys? Bruce here. Hang in tight as I'm bringing you a tips and tricks segment. I saw a YouTube video over the weekend and I figured I'd go ahead and put my touch on it and see how well it actually works. Hang in tight, we'll be right back. All right, tips and tricks, you ask. Coolers? What are we talking about? No, I'm not going to bring you a comparison of $400 coolers. There's a million and one $400 coolers out there. You got Arctic, you got Yeti, you got Igloo came out with their own now. And I'm not going to bring you any comparisons, any side-by-sides or anything like that. What happened is I was watching a YouTube video of how they claim they can turn a $20 cooler into a $400 cooler. Do I think that's possible? Absolutely not. I don't think you're going to get the same type of results out of turning a $17 cooler into a $400 cooler. Now, they did make a good point in that video that I wanted to bring to you. These coolers, $17.88 at Walmart, made by Igloo. It's probably the cheapest one they make. All this is insulated. However, this is not. And if you're familiar with the 843 and the Carolina Sun, it wreaks havoc on everything. I work in construction and I usually carry a cooler full of water and ice with me at all times. This sitting in the back of my truck for a week at a time, it burns through ice like you wouldn't believe. Sitting in a boat full of ice with drinks and lunch and stuff while you're fishing all day, it's going to burn through ice. The reason being, there is no insulation in the lid. The sun is beating down on this lid and it's just baking whatever's inside there. So if we can remedy a situation to where we can insulate the lid, that'd be fantastic. My idea is I'm going to go ahead and drill some holes in the lid and I'm going to fill it with Great Stuff. If you're not familiar with Great Stuff is a foam that you spray out of a can and it expands over time. Now, you can get Great Stuff at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, Ace Hardware, True Value, any hardware store really. And it's like $10. So you pay $17 for this cooler and you pay another $10 for the can. You're looking at a $30 cooler. Even if you bought a $30 cooler, the lids are not insulated. So you'd be spending more money and getting the same result as a $17 cooler. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to drill some holes and spray some foam inside the lid. And hopefully we get better results. I'm not going to do a results type thing today, but maybe I'll do a video in the future showing the results of what I got. I'll go buy another cooler exactly like this. I'll fill it with ice and I'll put them out on my patio or my balcony for 2 or 3 days and see which one gets the best results. Think that should be pretty good. Now I wanted to all seep out like that. After you let it dry overnight, it'll peel off the plastic pretty easy. But you want to fill it up until you see it oozing out of the holes like this. Now I definitely wouldn't recommend touching any of this stuff when it's wet unless you have gloves on. This stuff does make a super mess. So, like I said, you gotta let it dry overnight before you start peeling this stuff off. Let it bubble up like that, let it dry, and then in the morning it will scrape right off and you can get nice clean edges. But however, if you end up touching this stuff with your bare hands, it's hard as can be to get it off there. So use gloves. Don't be like me. I'm a bad influence. Now you can see with the sun shining through again where all the foam went to. It didn't get in all the grooves like I wanted it to. I was really hoping that it would expand into those. However, it did not. Now, not all these cheap coolers are the same design, so you could probably find some without the little grooves like that in it, and it will take the foam a little bit better. I just had this one on hand from the weekend, and I figured, you know what, I already spent the 17 bucks on it, let's go ahead and give it a try. The foam looks like hell right now, but, you know, that stuff will scrape off tomorrow morning. This great stuff really pulls off pretty easy once it's completely cured and dried. Try and touch it right now though, you're just going to create even more of a mess and it's going to be harder for you to clean. So just let it dry overnight and it'll just pull right off in the morning. You'll be able to scrape it with like a putty knife or something and it'll come right off. Use a Scotch-Brite pad and a little bit of soap and water and the rest of it will scrub right off. Okay, it's the next day. I want to show you how the foam expanded and how relatively easy it is to clean this stuff up. This thing looks like a complete mess right now, and the before and after is going to be kind of mind-blowing. The fact that this stuff pulls off really easy after it dries is amazing. Now, I do want to show you that I did go against my own judgment last night, and I ended up touching some wet stuff, and I have it all over my fingers. So that's why I told you guys to wear gloves if you do this. I'm a little hard-headed at times, and I decided not to, even though I knew I should be, and it's all over my hands. I scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed for about an hour last night right before I was preparing dinner for the family, and this stuff is still on here. So here, let's check this out. It's all over my fingernails. I'm hoping you guys can see it. I'm trying to look at the same time, but all over the fingernails, all over my hands, the palms of my hands. I got some right in here. So yeah, stuff is tough. It's tough to get off if you get it on you when it's wet. Now, if you just let it dry, you can kind of peel it off. That's what I've been doing, but it takes a while for it to dry when it's on your skin. On coolers and stuff like that, if you just let it dry overnight, window frames, door frames, whatever you might be using it on, If you just let it dry overnight, I mean, it really just pulls off. It's that simple. So let's take a look at what this cooler looks like, and I'm gonna go ahead and start peeling some of it off. So some of the foam in the bottom of the cooler is where I realized after I stopped filming last night, I closed the lid on the cooler. Well, I came back out, opened the lid up, and let the cooler lay down like it is right now in the back of the truck. So all that foam there is from what I sprayed inside the lid. It all seeped out and dropped into the inside of the cooler. So I do have a big mess to clean up. But like I said, it should be relatively easy, and I'm going to show you some of that process right now. So what I'm using is this 5-gallon bucket that I put my cast net in. I'm going to use that to catch all the droppings, and then I'll carry it over to the dumpster and dump it out. But to pull most of it off and scrape most of it off, I'm using this 2-inch putty knife. I just had it handy. It's in with the rest of my putty knives, and this will make it a lot easier to pull that stuff off. Now for the most part, you're pretty much just going to be able to pull some of this stuff right off again. Boom, it pulls right out of the grooves and everything. Pull it right off. The putty knife is just for some of the smaller stuff. So that pulls right off. It really is easy to... Oh, that one's still a little sticky. So I'm going to have some more on my hands. But to prevent that, wear gloves. Look how easy. Boom. Done. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this cleaned up, and I'll get back to you when I'm all done. Okay, so we got the lid cleaned off pretty good. What I want to do next is I want to plug up all the holes I drilled, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a white caulking to do so. And the reason I want to do this is I want to do it, let it dry, and before I use the garden hose to clean the cooler out, this will plug up any of the holes, not allowing water to get into the insulation, which could cause mildew or some type of mold to grow inside of there, which wouldn't be healthy for the inside of your cooler, especially storing food or anything like that. If it was a bait cooler, not a problem. But being that we're going to use this as a personal cooler for, you know, taking on the pier with drinks and lunches and stuff like that, I want to plug up all the holes and make sure no water gets inside of there. So basically what we're going to do is just use a white caulking. We're going to squirt some white caulking in there until it starts to ooze out of the hole. Once it oozes out of the hole like so, I spray it with a little soapy water. Window cleaner works good too. And then what you do is remove some of the excess into a wet rag and smooth over the hole so it looks neat. We don't want a sloppy job. I mean, it's a do-it-yourself type of thing, so you know, obviously nothing's going to be perfect. But there you go. Something like that. Let's do another one. And this caulking will shrink a little bit, so you might have to do this twice. Caulking shrinks pretty good, unless you get non-shrinking caulking. But I've had some caulking left over from a few jobs that I did, and I'm just using it. It's not costing me anything. But you can buy a non-shrinking formula for caulking. It costs a little bit more, but all right, so my phone ran out of memory card and is now saving video to the phone internally. So I cut out on you guys in the middle of a conversation, and I do apologize for that. Let's go back to what we were talking about. You know, you can buy a non-shrinking formula of caulking. It costs a little bit more. And to some, it might be nice to have that, and it might be better for them to use it so they don't have to go back and hit the holes twice. I am going to hit the holes twice. It doesn't hurt my feelings any. It's only going to take a little bit more caulking. I just want to make sure I got the holes sealed up pretty good. Like I said earlier, nothing's going to be perfect on a do-it-yourself type thing. It's just kind of fun to do this. And personally, I really don't care if I have foam in the lid of my cooler. I was just thinking, you know, I saw that YouTube video and I wonder if it really works. So I wanted to put my own twist on it, and I wanted to give it a try and see what happens. I did say earlier in the video that I was thinking about going and buy another cooler just like this and do a side-by-side comparison. I really don't need to go out and buy another cooler just like this to do a side-by-side comparison when I have another cooler made by Coleman that's it's pretty beat up. I mean, as far as the handle goes, it's beat up. The handle fell off. It is broken. And we kind of just use it as a bait cooler and a catch cooler. So when we catch our fish, we just fill it with ice and we throw it in there. Both of the coolers last about the same as far as ice longevity. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put both of these on my porch, and I'm going to fill them both with a bag of ice. I believe I looked at the weather for the week, and we're supposed to be near the 80s every day this week. So I think doing a side-by-side comparison would be kind of cool on the patio, just to see how long it holds ice for. So we might check out that too. Anyhow, let me go ahead and hit all these holes one more time. Get them all nice and smoothed over. And once I get the cooler all cleaned up, I'll come back and I'll chat with you guys again for a few more minutes, and we'll maybe try out that side-by-side video comparison. So we'll talk to you in a few minutes. All right, just finished cleaning up both coolers. As you can see, this is the Igloo that we drilled the holes in. It's all nice and clean now. And this is the Coleman that we're going to do a side-by-side comparison. I'm going to run to the store in a few minutes. I'm going to grab some ice. I'm going to put a bag of ice in each cooler, and we're going to do a test until they run out of ice. I was going to say 3-day test, but we'll go to see how long it takes for one of them to run out of ice and see which one lasts the longest. Now, I understand that the Igloo is a lot bigger than the Coleman. I don't know if that's going to make much of a difference, but we'll see. If you look closely, you can see that the Igloo cooler is all nice and cleaned out. The bottom of the cooler is pretty much clean. The more you clean this cooler, the cleaner it's going to get. I didn't get every little flake of the great stuff off, but I got a good majority of it. So you see that in the video here, as well as the holes that I covered up where I drilled the holes to put the great stuff in. You can see some of them are a little mashed up, but it's just to prevent or minimize any water that gets into the cooler itself, the cooler lid itself. You know, it's not going to stop water from getting in there, but it's going to prevent lots of water from getting in there. Let's go ahead. I'm going to run up to the store, and I'm going to go grab 2 10-pound bags of ice, and we'll see how long they last for. All right, so I got two 10-pound bags of ice. I've got one 10-pound bag for each cooler. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the ice in each cooler, and we are gonna wait until one of the coolers runs out of ice completely and see which one wins. I was talking about doing this on my balcony, but my balcony is very shaded right now, and it stays shaded most part of the day. The temperatures are going to be close to 80 every day this week, but with the balcony being in the shade, I don't think it's going to get quite as hot. So the best possible place to put these coolers and let them bake in the sun is right here in the back of the truck. I'm going to go ahead and load up the first cooler with ice right now. All right, that one's done. Now let's load up the second one. It is 4:48 right now. Every night at 5 o'clock, we'll check the coolers and see how they look. All right, it's 5:15. I am 15 minutes late. The coolers have both been sitting for 24 hours and 25 minutes. It's the end of day one. We're gonna go ahead and check out the coolers and see which one did the best. Now, I didn't open the coolers yet to check to see if there was any ice left, but I did shake them and I heard a lot of water and I heard a lot of ice. As you can see, I'm rocking my Your Daughter, My Daughter t-shirt today. Kaylee bought this for me as a Father's Day present a couple years ago, and I went and did a little fishing today down in Myrtle Beach. I got all wet, got all sandy, so this is my jammies for the night. I'm gonna go in the house, I'm gonna cook some Philly cheesesteaks and stuff and just relax for the rest of the night. Maybe get out tomorrow, see if there's any bass on beds in some of the ponds that I know. But anyways, enough of the small talk. Let's check out the coolers and see which one did the best. All right, which one should we start with? Should we start with the Igloo that we put the foam in? Or should we start with the Coleman that we didn't do anything to? I say, let's check out the Igloo. Oh yeah, bunch of water in there. There's still some pretty big ice chunks though, as you can see. Still a lot of water, some smaller ice cubes in there. Another big chunk, another big chunk. A good bit of ice in here, a lot of water. It's still cold, that's for sure. Let's go ahead and check out the Coleman. A lot of water, very little ice. Just small cubes, no big cubes. So I do want to say that the Coleman, I should say Igloo rather, is performing better than the Coleman. I'm actually surprised that there's that little bit of ice in there. So as you saw, the Igloo is outperforming the Coleman, which, you know, to be honest with you, I really did think that the Coleman was going to outperform the Igloo due to the fact that the Igloo had more surface area. I guess you want to call it cubic inches, maybe, I think in coolers they measure by quarts. So being that the Igloo has more quarts or cubic inches than the Coleman, I was really thinking that the Coleman was going to outlast the Igloo. But I guess with, the enhancements that we made on the cooler lid, it helped out a lot. To be honest though, I'm really kind of shocked that there's only that little bit of ice in both of those coolers. we went to Mount Pleasant on Saturday. 7 o'clock in the morning, I put ice in these coolers. And we spent the whole day in Charleston. The cooler sat in the back of the truck in Charleston and Sunday. And then Monday evening, I came out to clean out the back of the truck. And there was just about as much ice as you saw in there right now. So I do find it hard to believe that there's only that little bit of ice left in there. But now that I think about it, we had a storm roll in on Friday. On Saturday, the storm was rolling out. That's why it was so windy in Charleston with the unpleasant wind video in Mount Pleasant. And Sunday, it was also cooler. So there's probably about 10 degrees cooler. I don't think the temperatures over the weekend got past 70 degrees. I think Saturday was right at 66. And today you're talking 80 degree temperatures, close to 80 degree temperatures. You're talking 76, 78, 80. So we're about 10 or 15 degrees warmer right now. And they sat in the back of the truck with the black bed liner. And it's just sitting here talking to you guys right now, I can feel the sun baking down on me. So I don't even know if I want to let it go to a day 2, to be honest with you. I think the Igloo is the clear winner here, but I may get up in the morning and check to see if there's any ice left in either one of the coolers, and maybe we'll get a clearer results at that time. So hanging tight. I am going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to check the coolers out, and we'll see what we got going on. All right, so we are on to day 2. We are not fully through day 2 yet. We are only about 17 hours in. It's 10 o'clock in the morning right now. I think the total project is 42 hours, I think, if I did the math correctly. I'm not sure about that, but I am going into this with very low expectations. I haven't shaken the coolers or anything like I did yesterday, so I'm going into it completely blind, but I do feel like there is no ice left in either one of these coolers. So let's take a look and we'll see what's happening. Tailgate down. I don't want to open them until you guys can see. We're going to start with the Igloo again. I hear water. That's it. All water. Still cold water. Still very cold water. But that's all it is just water. All right. Let's get on to the Coleman. Still just water. All water, cold water, about the same temperature. So, I don't know which one actually won. I mean, you can't base it off of just water. So, set you guys back up here. At this point, it's hard to tell which one was the clear winner because both of them are full of water and they're about the same temperature. However, yesterday when I did check the Igloo, it had bigger chunks of ice in it and it seemed to have more ice than what the Coleman did. So I'm thinking that the Igloo is the clear winner, but by very little, not much at all. My thing is, I saw that video, and the point of me putting this video together is I saw that video on YouTube where they claimed they could turn a $20 cooler into a $400 cooler. I said it in the beginning of this video. Do I think that's possible? No. Do I think adding some foam to the lid because it is not insulated would help? Yes, I do think that would help a little bit. And in this case, it showed that. It helped a little bit. It wasn't a significant amount.
Is it worth even doing? I don't think so. I don't think so. Just buy yourself a cooler. If you don't want to buy the $400 coolers, just buy yourself a cooler. Don't do any modifications to it whatsoever. Don't spend the extra money on the great stuff. You know, at $8 a can, it's kind of just going to waste, and you're putting in a lot of effort for no reason, absolutely no reason whatsoever, because the Igloo didn't make a clear difference to me. Did it show a little bit more life than the Coleman? Yeah, yeah, I believe so. I feel like it did, but do I think it's worth doing the whole modification? No. I maybe spent 30 minutes on the modification altogether, but that's just 30 minutes of my life I'll never get back. I could be on a bass pond somewhere fishing with those 30 minutes. So, you be the judge. If you want to try it out for yourself, it's a neat little project to do. I just figured it'd be something cool to put together and to bring you guys. I mean, in the fishing world, we all use coolers, so I thought it'd be a neat little project for me to try and to bring to you guys entertainment wise. So I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video. Also, swing over to Facebook and Instagram and find us there at 843 Fishing. We update those pages on the daily, so you can stay connected with us through the social media sites while we're putting together projects for YouTube. So, anyways, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and to like, and we'll catch you at the next video.